Hello my friends, what's up my people? So today is the first installment in my decluttering series. Before we get into it though, I just want to throw out some apologies for my annoying ass voice. I woke up earlier this week and my throat was like, every time I would wake up in the morning, my throat would be like real dry and like really sore. And it was like that kind of dry where like it doesn't quench it drinking water. You feel like you gotta like pour water down the back of your nose just to like make it moist again. So last year I had got laryngitis to the point where it was the most painful thing I have ever felt in my life. Like it brought me to tears to cough, and it's feeling a little bit like that. It's feeling a little bit like that, or it's starting to. So I'm like, oh please, little baby Jesus, don't let me get laryngitis this year, because oh my God, if you've ever had laryngitis, girl, that shit ain't no joke. So today, I just wanted to throw that out there because I sound like dick. Today, I'm doing my palette declutter. This is not just eyeshadow palettes, it's oil palettes, it's blush palettes, it's contour palettes, it's highlighting palettes. And let me just preface by saying, girl, I have never decluttered my palettes before. I have never filmed a decluttering video before. I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. I don't know if you're supposed to go through each palette, like swatch them and stuff. I feel like if we do that, we will literally be here for days, because there's a lot of palettes there. I'll probably count them and like put the number of palettes in the title or something, but I have yet to count them. I think last time I counted my palettes, there was like 70 some, and that was, I don't even know how long ago. So there could be an upwards of 100 palettes here, girl. Also, if you are new here, I just want to throw out the fact that unlike the rest of the YouTube community, presumably, I actually use my palettes. So they do not look super cute and like brand new like they do in a lot of people's videos. They look like dick. I tried to, like I said, I've never filmed a declutter video before. I tried to study, I guess, because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to film it. So I watched a couple of Tati's like makeup graveyard videos, and I'm like, girl, you got like 20 palettes. I have like 100, okay? So we ain't gonna do it Tati style, because she seems to have already went through them and then just tells you what she's keeping, like all 13 of the palettes that she's keeping. I have not went through mine, so we were going to do this together. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I cannot get rid of makeup and clothes. I am like full board, bring it on Veronica, fuck it up KonMari style, like through everything in my life. I go through and I declutter constantly. I cannot stand clutter. My grandparents were hoarders, like legit fucking turn it on the motherfucking TLC hoarders. That is my grandparents. They had stuff from the back of their counters to the front of their counters, just cluttered. My grandmother kept everything, and I was like, I am not going to do that. If it brings me joy, I will keep it. If it don't, I throw it away. Like that is how I have been living my life. I have been trying to live very minimally for the past probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I started doing that, and oh my God, girl, if you've never done it, girl, let me just give you a little pro tip here. Do it, because it's like a weight off of your shoulders. Like you're so less anxious. Your house stays clean because there's not all this stuff like collecting dust, and it's just so nice. So I decided now is the time that I need to do this with my makeup. Like, why can I not get rid of my makeup? And if you're new here, you may or may not know that I pay for everything I have. So, which I feel like makes it a little bit harder, but in the same token, like, I can get rid of other shit that I've paid for. I don't know what it is about makeup. I've told myself for years, it's because I'm a YouTuber. I need this for the YouTubes. But I don't even fucking use like a fraction of the stuff that I have for my channel. So, and I've also found that over the past probably year or two, it's really like kept me from buying other stuff that I wanted, because, and not that that's a bad thing or anything, hashtag consumerism, but it keeps but it keeps me from buying other stuff because but it keeps me from buying like newer stuff for my channel because I've got so much stuff, and I get to a point where I'm like, oh my God, I have so much fucking shit I don't want anymore, you know? So I need to like go through and declutter and just get rid of the stuff I'm not using. I will not be decluttering. For one, I'm not going to declutter my Natasha Denona palette because, bitch, I paid $125 for that palette. Yes, we're keeping it. And then I'm also not decluttering any of my Z palettes. My Z palettes carry Makeup Geek shadows, they carry Inglot shadows, they carry Makeup Forever shadows. I will not be depotting those. I will, however, be, not depotting. Did I say depotting? I think I did. I will not be decluttering those. I will, however, be decluttering everything else. So let me also just preface by saying, you're going to see some stuff in here that's going to take you to the way, way back because I had never decluttered before. So there's going to be stuff in here that's going to bring you all the way back to the beginnings of the YouTubes, girl. Let me tell you. Okay, so I'm going to shut the fuck up. We're 6 minutes in. I've got 100 fucking palettes to go through. And, Jesus, let's do it. Let's just do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's just do it. I don't even know what I'm doing, but we're going to do it, girl. Here we go. Okay, here we go. This is real shit. As I said earlier, I have a lot. We're probably not going to be, just me. I'm probably not going to be swatching anything. I'm going to go, oh, Jesus, girl, I got a lot. So this is going to have to go fast. I'm probably going to go through each one and like show it to you and tell you the reason why I've decided to or to not keep it. I have not went through any of these yet. I noticed like on Tati's videos, she tends to like already go through her collection and then just kind of breeze through in less than 15 minutes of the things that she's keeping and the things that she's not. We not doing that, girl. We're not that fucking professional or that organized or that dedicated. Let's be real. So this is going to be a real ass declutter. We're going to do it right now. Okay. Let's just pick and go. Let's pick and go. All right, here we go. Okay, I literally just like poured these out of the box. Dream Street palette. This is the ColourPop Dream Street palette. Looks like this. This was the collaboration with Kathleen Lights. I am just gonna be real, did not care for this palette that much. I felt like the shimmers were really chunky and the mattes were just okay. I didn't think they were like that big of a deal. However, I do really like the colors in it, but God, do I want to keep, see, this is going to take forever, y'all. It's going to take a long time. It's so hard when you pay for stuff to decide whether you want to keep it or not. I think I'm going to get rid of this because, well, we'll put this in the maybe pile. How about that? I'll put that in the maybe pile. Next up is the Mini MUA Life's a Drag palette. I have literally only used this palette for my YouTube. As you can see, I mean, I've barely used it, just swatched it. And the reason is because it just doesn't call to me. Like, I don't find it that appealing. The colors in it are just kind of blah to me. They're not overly warm or overly cool. So I'm somebody that tends to veer towards like very warm, like orangey shadows. The shadows in here are so neutral that they're just kind of bland, IMO. The colors in here are just like, they don't really correlate with each other. So you kind of have to like grab out of other palettes if you're trying to make, you know, somewhat of a wearable look. I'm just a fucking mom from the Midwest, so I don't get that crazy with my makeup, girl. Y'all know this. So the Life's a Drag is going. So what I had decided to do just at this moment right here, because I picked up my good old trusty Lorac Pro. Who remembers this motherfucker from the YouTubes of the way, way back? Look how much I've used this. Yes, girl. This, in time, was one of my all-time favorite palettes. Absolutely. It was like every YouTuber's favorite palette at one point in time, and I have used it to its entirety just about. These Lorac shadows at one point in time were some of my all-time favorite shadows. So what I had decided to do at this point in time is pick up palettes from each brand to kind of like separate them into brands so it won't take as long for me to like pick one and show you and then pick it, you know what I mean? So I've got the Lorac Pro, the Lorac Pro 2, which looks like this, which I've also like just used to death because I love this one too. Even though it's cool tone, I kind of like this palette. I kind of fucked with it. I've got the Lorac Unzipped Gold and then the Lorac Unzipped. The Lorac Unzipped palette I felt like was one of the most underrated palettes of its time. It was such a good palette. The shimmers were so pretty in here. And then they came out with the Lorac Gold, which was supposed to be like a sister palette to this palette, but the problem was that these two palettes were just so close in tone and color and everything else that it was just like, okay, this is basically just the Lorac Unzipped like remastered, you know what I mean? So even though I really love these, I just don't use them anymore. They just kind of sit in the back of my collection and collect dust. All these, the Pro 1, the Pro 2. I also have the Lorac Pro Contour. This I never really did use. I really liked this when I was like super fair before I went to a tanning bed last year and got a tan, and then like my tan I like became a different skin tone after that. I don't know why, but my tan like is still kind of there because I used to be so fair that the fair shade in the IT Cosmetics CC cream was too dark on me, and now I wear light. So this, I don't know what it is. I'm not one to like cut a cheek anymore. I don't really like specifically contour my face anymore. I'm more just bronze. So the contour palettes are kind of out for me right now. I didn't really think the highlight was that great, and these two highlighting shades were too dark for me at the time. So I think I am going to get rid of this. The thing with contour palettes is like you never use all the shades, so it's like what's the point, but you buy them anyways, you know. And then I have the Pro Matte palette by Lorac and then the Pro Metal palette by Lorac. Obviously the Jet Black and the Pro Matte palette was one of my all-time favorite blacks. I used the actual fuck out of it. God damn, I used that a lot. What did I use that for? I wonder if I used it for my brows or something, because I just never really wore my makeup that dark to use like that much of a black matte. Ooh, it's getting dark out. Hold on. Okay, is that better? I know my face is kind of blown out, but at least you can see the palettes. So and I never really did use these. I just bought them because I was like, ooh, they're Lorac palettes and they're kind of cheap. They were only like 20 bucks a piece. So the metal and the matte, the colors don't really like stand out to me anymore. So we are getting rid of these. And then you have the Mega Pros. So this is the Mega Pro 4, the Mega Pro 2, and the Mega Pro 3. The original Mega Pro, if you guys remember, so who remembers back when the original Mega Pro came out, they only released like 30,000 of them or something, and all these people wanted them, and it was limited edition, and they like only released it online or something like that. Well, when they brought the 2 out, they brought the fucking 2 out, girl. This was like, at the time, one of my favorite palettes. I used the entire shit out of this palette. Mainly the warm colors, as per usual, as you do. I really like this palette though, and because they're like so big and harbor so many colors, I'm like undecided on this. So I am gonna put that in the maybe. Then the Lorac Pro 4 or Mega Pro 4 was this like pastel kind of stitch. I don't know, this one was just very weird because there wasn't a lot of matte colors in here. This is like all shimmer, and then these were like supposed to be matte, but they were more along the lines of like satin, and the colors are muted, which I love, but they're just all like so bland that they all just kind of blended together on your lids. I didn't really care for that. So the Mega Pro 4 is going, and then there's the Mega Pro 3, which, as you can tell, was very loved. I really like this palette because of the color Pecan Walnut, Dusty Mauve. I like that there were warmer shades in here and cooler shades in here. So I actually think I'm gonna keep a hold of this one just because of the variety of shades, because you've got cool tones, you've got warm tones, you got some navies, You've got a black. The shimmers are all real pretty. So I do think I'm gonna keep a hold of this one. So I found another Pro palette. I didn't even know I had it. It is the Lorac Pro 3, which I also really liked, but I just don't use it anymore. So this one's going to. Okay, girl, I think we're doing good. I think we're doing pretty good, don't you? I think it's just like I've had this makeup for so long, and it's been so long since I've touched any of this that I'm just like, I kind of have it in my head, like, look, if I have not touched this in over a year, we got to get rid of it, girl. Do it up KonMari style, Veronica. Oh, you thought we were done with Lorac palettes? Well, no, because I just found another one. This one is the Lorac Los Angeles. Looks like this right here. This color I used every day for like 4 months as a transition color. And at the time, I think it was like during the summer when I got this, I would use this in the crease and like nothing else, or this like all over the lid and nothing else. This was a nice palette, but the colors just like aren't really my thing, and there's a lot of like satins and shimmers in here with only a couple of mattes. So this one's definitely going to with the rest of the Lorac ones because I just don't use it. So let's go into Anastasia next. So for Anastasia, I have the Prism palette, the Master palette by Mario, the Artist palette, the Soft Glam palette, the Subculture palette. Oh, did I not bring my Modern Renaissance palette in? Am I missing something? It must have been sitting on my desk. My Modern Renaissance palette I'm obviously keeping because that's like one of my favorites. And then the Amrezy palette. So the Amrezy palette I'm definitely keeping. As you can tell, I've used the actual shit out of this palette. This is one of my all-time favorite palettes that Anastasia has made. The colors in it are just so bright. Like the shimmers are so nice. The color palette and everything is just so damn good, girl. This is one loved ass palette. I mean, look at it. It's like beat to fuck, girl. If at the time I had the money, I probably would have purchased 2 of these because I love this palette so much. This is one of those palettes that I know I'm going to use like in the future. You know, sometimes like if you have a big collection, when you do your makeup, there's just like those certain palettes that you're like, I want to use this palette like just for reminiscent purposes, if any. The Anastasia Amrezy palette is that for me. I freaking love this palette so damn much. It's like one of my all-time favorite palettes of life, and it was limited edition, which is so sad. Next up is Subculture. Obviously I have barely touched my Subculture palette. I love this palette. I love the colors of this palette. The reason why I don't use it as often is, as y'all know, like all the controversy around Subculture, it is a little bit finicky. It's not one of those palettes that you can just pick up a brush and bang, 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 and, you know, fluff some shit into your crease. You really have to like do your makeup like a makeup artist. Essentially, you have to start off small and kind of build up. So this palette I do use when I have the time or I'm in the mood to like really bang my makeup out like that. But if I'm like in a hurry or I just want to, I don't know, there's like certain ways I do my makeup. Like sometimes I'll start with smaller brushes and do like really detailed makeup, and then sometimes I'll just take a big fluffy brush. More times than not, I just take a big fluffy brush and blend everything together. This is not a palette you can do that with, but I still like it at that because the colors in it, I don't have any other colors that are like this. I wish I did, but I don't. So I'm keeping that. BT dubs, did I say that? Next up is the Soft Clam palette. Obviously, this I have also used the actual fucking I think what happened there is, I think I was doing my makeup or something and something dropped on it and I like tried to push it back in there or something. I love the Soft Glam palette. I love the colors in it, all the colors in it. It's got a really nice black. Just this color story is like me in a palette. Is so good, girl. So we keeping that Soft Glam. Next up is the Anastasia Artist palette. This one I mean, you can tell I just never used. This was one of those Anastasia palettes that if you are like me, like I have the Prism palette, I've got the Soft Glam, I've got the Amrezy, I've got all these Anastasia palettes. This was one of those palettes that was like, I can't not buy it. At the time, I thought, I have all these other Anastasia palettes, because I used to have the, oh, what was that called? The Tamara or something like that, or what was that called? I can't remember. It was like one of the first palette collaborations that Anastasia did. I had that one too, but I gave that one away because I barely used that one. But at the time when this came out, I thought I have to get this because I have all the other ones too, you know what I mean? So that was like the only reason I got this one. I've kind of like grown out of that, like I have to get that because I have all the Anastasia palettes. I kind of grew out of that, so this one I'm just going to get rid of because I do not use the colors in here. The whole entire palette is just so uncohesive. Like, it's just really hard for me personally to like use this all in one palette. I'm not somebody that likes to like pull 8 different palettes to try to make a look. Like, for me, it's just I'm just not with it, girl. I'm not with it. So Little Miss Artist palette, she gonna go. Next up is the Master palette by Mario. This one I really, really love. I love the muted colors. I just like this palette. I don't know why. I don't use it as much as I like it. You know what I mean? Like, I love this palette. I just don't use it like I should because I love the colors in here. I've just been really lazy with my makeup lately, so I'm gonna keep this one just because I really, really like the color story of this palette. I'm gonna keep it around so I use it more. And then the last one is the Anastasia Prism palette. This one, I am like, there's colors in here that I really like, but again, kind of like the artist palette, I feel like it's not a very cohesive palette, that the colors are just kind of scattered around in there and they don't really make sense together. And it's hard for me to come up with looks for this palette, so I think I am going to get rid of this one too. Oh, you thought that was it for the Anastasia palettes? I just happened to find this one, and it is the Anastasia the Anastasia Glow Kit. This one is in that glow. I love this glow kit because I feel like this is her original. This was their last, what do I want to say? This was their last like original formulation of Anastasia highlights. Like, the highlights in here are like the original, like they're very sheeny. You're not gonna fucking see that. The highlights in here have so much just sheen to them. They're so freaking pretty. I think the thing that deters me from using this is the colors, because the colors obviously do not flatter my skin tone. I am going to keep this around because I do use these 2 colors as highlights, but I feel like after this glow kit was created, they changed the formula or something, and now their glow kits have like these really chunky, like glittery highlighters in them, and I like more of like a very hard, like gel pressed highlight because I just like sheen. I don't like color on my face. I don't like it to look real chalky and gross. Like, I just want it to look wet, you know what I mean? And that's what these highlighters do. And I feel like the highlighting kits that they have released since this one have been different than this, and this was like the last original formula. And it, other than the Nicole Guerrero one that I had, which was like, I felt like the new formula, this one is the only Anastasia highlighters that I have. So needless to say, we're keeping her. Moving right along, let's do Too Faced next. Okay, so let's go back to the way back girl. So the way back girl. A few of my favorite things, palettes by Too Faced. When this palette came out, I thought, oh my god, this is like the end all be all. It's so amazing. I got this for Christmas one year. I was so freaking excited. I loved all the colors in it. It was such a good formula. This palette actually is like a really good formula palette. Makeup nowadays is like so different than what it used to be. Like, when I first started YouTube, their like Too Faced shadows were so good, and over the years it seems like I don't know if the formulation has gotten different or if it's just because makeup has just come such a long way that it doesn't seem like this is like all of that anymore. You know what I mean? And like looking at it now, it's almost like, what was I thinking? Because the color story is really weird, and to put like bronzers and blushes and everything in here, and especially being a holiday palette. So being somebody that films videos on YouTube, it's like you can only use holiday palettes for a certain amount of time, which is why I don't buy holiday palettes anymore, because they're limited edition. So this, she's going, girl, because she's old as dick. Who remembers this right here? This, the Too Faced Stardust by Vegas Nay. I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm probably fucking wrong, but I think this was one of Too Faced's first collaborations, was with Vegas Nay. I remember when this came out, I had no clue who Vegas Nay was. I didn't even really like fucks with the colors. You can see that like I didn't use it all that much. The thing that I wanted out of this was that fucking glitter, and I still use that glitter to this day. Like, I don't know why Too Faced does not like come out with little pots of those glitter, kind of like Dose of Colors did. I mean, I guess if they did, they'd kind of be ripping off Dose of Colors. If they would come out with like, you know, a primer, like a base, and then the glitter that came with this on top, oh my god, it would be so nice. And I know they came out, was it the Nikki Tutorials palette? I don't think it was. They came out with another palette that had a little pot of glitter in it, but the glitter was different. The glitter that came with this is so finely milled and like so pretty and so nice and reflective. I love it. So needless to say, I'm keeping the glitter that came with this palette, but this palette's got to go, girl, because it's so damn old. And obviously I didn't use it. I mean, look at the colors of it. It's just kind of like, wah, wah. You know, obviously 4 or 5 years ago, this was like where it was. This was fucking it, girl. This was the whip. But now you look at this and you're like, you know what I mean? Next up for Too Faced is the Peanut Butter and Jelly palette. Do not ask me why I bought this palette, girl. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. When this palette came out, I was like, oh my god, I have to have it. And then once I got it, I was like, even after purchasing it, come on, focus, girl. Even after purchasing it, I was like, why the fuck did I purchase this? Because this palette is literally every other palette I have in my collection. Why do I have this right now? So yeah, this is definitely a go or go because it's just not that great. It's like everything else I have, basically. Next up for Too Faced is the Clover palette. And I do really like the colors of this palette. I just didn't use it as much as I thought I would. Like when I first got it, I was like, oh my god, I'm like so inspired and stuff. Oh, look at this bright color, and maybe this will make me use color. I think I even did a video where I was like, I bought this to like force myself to use more color, and it just didn't make me use more color. But even though that's the case, now that I look at it, I still like, I don't know what it is about the colors of this palette. I just feel like I don't have colors like this, even though I'm sure I do. So I think I'm going to keep a hold of this for now. I may declutter in the future, but I'm going to keep on to it for now. Next up is Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. This I am definitely keeping because this is one of my favorite palettes. Even though it doesn't look like I've used it that much, I've used it a fuck ton. I used this every day for like a month straight when I got it because I love the colors in here. The shadows are so nice. Like this, whatever Too Faced is doing with their eyeshadows now, they need to go back to this because the formulation of this palette is so freaking nice and I love it. And obviously the color story is like right here. It is my jam. It speaks to me, girl. Last for Too Faced is the Paste palette, the Suede Paste palette. This is another Too Faced palette that I really, really loved. This one smells like pages. This one looks eerily similar to the Chocolate Bar palette. Now that I'm looking at it. Not really, but maybe the Clover palette. That's what I'm thinking of. Not really. So I think I'm going to keep this one too, just because I know I really like this palette. Maybe it'll like, I don't know, put a fire under my ass to use it more. I think I am going to keep this one. Next up is, no, I'm sorry my face is so blown out, but if I darken it up, you can't see the palette. So next up is NARS. I only have 2 NARS palettes, and they're face palettes. This one is the NARS Stephen Klein palette. This is the one that came with the big, what's it called, Laguna, and then you got the blushes and the highlight. For some reason, like back in the day, NARS blushes were like the fucking ish girl, like they were where it's at. That's why I got this palette. I think I got it for Christmas one year. I asked for it for Christmas. But I just don't use it like I thought I would, as with everything else I own. I just don't use it like I thought I would. And I remember I really liked Paloma. That's right. Because Paloma was such a good contour color for me when I was like super fair. But to keep this entire palette and like only use one color is just silly. So I think I'm gonna get rid of this one. I don't know, I'm gonna put it in the maybe pile. It's so hard to get rid of stuff that's like so expensive, you know what I mean? Especially stuff that's like not that used. Next NARS palette that I have is, did you hear that? Stubby must be dreaming. Anyways, yeah, listen to him. He's going, he must be having good dreams. Anyways, it's the NARS Virtual Domination palette. Again, this is another big giant Laguna and then a blush palette. I think the reason why I got these is because I was really fussing with Laguna at the time. And I thought, oh my God, that's a whole Laguna and a bunch of blushes for almost the price that you get Laguna for. So I think that's why I got these. So this one's got, what does it have? Deep Throat, Miss Liberty, Laguna Sex Fantasy, and Final Cut. And the highlight in here just like wasn't that great. And I don't know, I just don't use it. Basically the only thing I used out of it was Laguna. So I think I am going to pass this one along. It's still got the damn paper in it, girl. That's how little I used it. Next up, let's do Tarte. First thing for Tarte is the Tartelette in Bloom palette. I, as you can tell, have barely used this. I just feel like this, between like the Tartelette palette, I thought the Tartelette palette was like such a good palette and I really like the formulation of it, but, oh, come open. When it came to the In Bloom palette, I just felt like it wasn't as good as the original. Like I liked the shimmers and stuff like that, but there was just something about the In Bloom palette that I wasn't fucking with. But the original one I loved. Like I use this one all the time, even though you can't barely tell because I actually half-ass kept this one clean, probably because I used it for videos. But this one I just didn't love. I'm gonna try it again. I'm gonna keep both of these and like try them again and see what I think about them, and then I'll decide. So I'm gonna put these in the maybe. Next up for Tarte is the Make Believe in Yourself palette. I got this because I really liked the shimmery colors in there, and it was like deep discount at work, and I thought, oh my God, these would be like so cute on your lid, and then just like a color in your crease like Myth, because Myth is the only matte color that you could possibly put in your crease. But I had such good intentions of using this, I just never did. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pass this one on because I never used it and it's so shimmery. I know I'll never use it like consistently. Next up is the Tatius Pro. This palette is a palette that I love so much in theory, but I think I even put this in like a products I regret purchasing video because I just wish this palette came, like I wish this row here was shimmer. Let me put it closer so you can see. I wish instead of doing these like duochrome shimmers, I wish they would have made this row shimmers and that row matte instead of this row matte and that row shimmers, because I'm the type of person that, obviously y'all know I'm a creature of habit. I pretty much do my makeup the same for most days because I do my makeup to flatter my eye shape. So I do light colors on the lid and dark colors in the crease. So I wish they would have like made this shimmers instead of matte. But I do really like the color story of it. I just don't like the duochrome thing, and I hate when I have to like pull other stuff to try and use it. I'm still going to keep it just because I like the colors in it, and maybe it'll make me use it more. The stuff I'm keeping, I'm hoping will kind of like entice me to use them more because there's not so many of them, you know? That's like the whole idea here. The last Tarte palette is the Man-Eater palette. Looks like this. I bought this obviously because this is fucking me in a palette with, you know, the light shades, and this is such an easy palette. It's like I could take this to travel, and you know, every color, it's got a crease color for me, it's got a deepening color for me, it's got a really dark color, there's a light enough color to put on my lid. Like, it's such a good little palette, and the formula is really, really nice. Do I want to keep you or not? I don't think I'm going to keep it because I've got other colors like that in other palettes. So we gonna toss the Man-Eater, girl. Next on the list is Urban Decay. Urban Decay used to be my all-time favorite makeup brand. If those of you who are old as dick like I am, you will remember when Urban Decay first came out, they started with nail polishes, and they were like little skulls, and at the time I was super gothy. I thought it was the coolest fucking thing ever. And then what did they do next? Lipsticks, and I thought their lipsticks were dope as fuck. Like, Urban Decay used to be my all-time favorite brand, but I just feel like lately they're like not really doing anything that's anything anyone else isn't doing, you know what I mean? It's like they try with all these palettes and stuff that they come out with, and like the little themes and stuff like that, but it's like they fall short, or like they'll come out with something that's really innovative after whoever came out with it first comes out with it, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like too little too late. Like when the whole brow thing started like getting really, really big, and Benefit was doing all this brow stuff, and you know, everybody was like brows, 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 and Anastasia was doing like all this cool ass brow stuff. Urban Decay came on the scene with brows like a year later, when everyone like already had all their favorite products, you know what I mean? So it's, I don't know, Urban Decay's like, I just feel like they're kind of slacking lately, and I wish that they would like pump it back up and bring it back, girl. Bring it back, Urban Decay, bring it back. Okay, first Urban Decay palette I have is the Aphrodisiac palette. This is just a teeny tiny little palette I had gotten for gratis. It's like one of the little, what are they called? Naked Basic palettes or whatever. It's kind of like that. I really like the colors in this, and it's so small that I can travel with it if we're going on like short little weekenders. So I'm gonna keep a hold of this. Next up is the Electric palette. Girl, I should probably get rid of this because I've had it since the motherfuckers came out, but I can't get rid of it because it's the only palette that I have that has these vibrant of colors in it. And whenever I go through phases where I'm like, I want to wear some fucking color on my face, this is the one that I go for. So I'm definitely keeping this. Next up are the two Basquiat palettes that I have. These also were in like products I regret purchasing video. There is this one, which is called what? I don't know. Yeah, it just says John Michael Basquiat. These two palettes, actually, I think, oh, this one's called Gold Griot. This one doesn't have the name of it, just says John Michael Basquiat on it. I might try and like sell these up on the Glambot or something, just because they are like collector's items, because they're Basquiat palettes. So I may do that. I'm not sure. If not, I'll probably just give them to a family member or something. So these I'm getting rid of because I've literally, out of both of these, I've used them a handful of times. Like probably I could count on one hand the amount of times I used both those palettes. I could probably count on two fingers the amount of time I used both those palettes, girl. And then there's the Urban Decay Naked 3. Again, this I used the actual fuck out of. I loved it when I had it because when I bought it, we didn't have a lot of money, and it was like a really nice, at the time, a really nice high-end palette that had colors that I liked and like really brought out my eyes. And at the time I thought the shadows were like unbeatable. Now, comparing the Naked palettes by Urban Decay as compared to other palettes, they like don't hold a card to like some of the other shadows that I have. So I am going to get rid of this one. Next up is one of the Vice palettes. I don't even know what year this came out. There's like no year or anything on it. So if anybody remembers, you can put in the comments what year this Vice palette came out. I got this Vice palette. I used to buy the Vice palettes from Urban Decay every year. I had every single Vice palette. Obviously, I've gotten rid of them over the years. And oddly enough, the reason is because I use them so fucking much. Like, they were fucked. I remember the first Vice palette that came out. When I got that, I dropped it so many times because they're so big and clunky. And at the time, I didn't have a makeup room. I was just doing my makeup in my bathroom, and I would sit it on my sink and it would fall off the sink and break all over, and the shadows would pop out, and like, it was a mess, girl. It was a mess. And then my other Vice palettes, I was like, I don't even use these just because they're like so big and bulky and clunky. So this one is the Vice blah blah blah. I don't even know what it is, but I think I skipped a year before I got this, and I was like, I'm not gonna buy Vice palettes anymore because I don't use them. And then this one came out, and I thought, oh my god, this is perfect because each row has colors that correlate with each other. And I thought it was such a good idea and such a good palette. I just don't use it, and I know I'm probably not going to, especially having a YouTube channel now, because who fucking even owns this anymore? You know what I mean? So I'm sorry, boss. I love you, but you gots to go. Next up is the Gwen Stefani Urban Decay collaboration. This still has a little paper thing in it. I really like this. I think the only reason I bought this is because I got it on a great discount at work. The colors for me now, looking at them, are just too bland and they're just too similar. So I am definitely gonna pass this one along because it just doesn't speak to me, girl. It just doesn't call my name. Next up is the Naked Ultimate Basics, which I think I've also included in a products I regret purchasing video. This one is all matte. As I mentioned before, I am not that pulling another palette out ass bitch when it comes to doing my makeup. I like to do my makeup from one palette when it comes to daily makeup, and this one I just wasn't doing that with. Also, like, I felt a little bit like they're really good shadows and they're really soft, and I thought this is what Urban Decay shadows should be when I got this. Like, I thought that they were really nice and blendable, but it seemed like they just started to blend together. And I think it's because there's not a huge distinction between the colors. Like, this row here is, other than this color, essentially all the same color when you go to put it on the skin. So we go and get rid of her too, because why the fuck not, girl? I don't really use it. Let's put her out to dry. Next up is the Urban Decay Moon Dust palette. This one I'm keeping because I really like their Moon Dust shadows, because it's glitter, but it's such a fine glitter that, I don't know, I just really like them, and I like the way that they look on the eyes. I love their Moon Dust shadows, so I'm keeping this. And then, whoops, wrong one. And then the Born to Run palette I'm also going to keep because I just recently got this one and I really love the color story of it, so we keep in her. Let's do some single news, shall we? We shall. Jeffree Star Thirsty palette, keeping this because I really like the colors in it. I really like the colors. There you go, you can see it better now. I really like the color story. I like this as a summer palette, so I'm gonna keep this around. I haven't had this for that long, so I'm gonna keep that. Makeup Geek Vegas Lights palette, I am keeping this because I plan on depotting these and just putting them in my Z palette with the rest of my palettes, or my eyeshadow, or blah. I plan on putting them with the rest of my Makeup Geek shadows, so definitely keeping this. Makeup Forever, what even is this? The Palette 9 Artist Shadow. So the Palette 9 Artist Shadow, I asked for this for Christmas one year and I don't even know why, because it's just really boring. It's like a good makeup artist palette to have, like, if you are a working artist, because it's so neutral and the black in here is really good and the shimmers are really pretty, but for me, I just know I'm not going to use it. I tried to use it a couple times and I was like, what was I thinking? This is totally boring. Pure Minerals Soul Mattes palette. This was one of my all-time favorite palettes at one point in time. As you can tell, I have used it. It is well loved, girl. Look at them dents. I freaking love this palette so much. I love the colors in it. This is such a good palette when you want like a very mauve-y toned look. So I think I'm gonna keep this actually, because I remember I love this so much. Okay, and then solely for the purpose of me running out of time and running out of voice to talk with, this next stack of palettes are all the palettes that I've gotten from BoxyCharms. And I just want to throw out right now that I'm pretty sure I'm getting rid of all of these. So I'm going to kind of breeze through these because there's no point in talking about them because I'm getting rid of them. So first off is this palette by Naked Cosmetics. Oh, I can't even open it. Looks like this here. I never really use this. I hate it when BoxyCharm just gives shimmer palettes, like all shimmer palettes, because I just don't end up using them. Like I said, I like using out of one palette. The next one is this Glam Metals palette, which is also an all shimmer palette. Not keeping that because I don't use that. This Vintage Illuminating Face Highlighter set by Jessica Liebskin. I really do like these highlighters and I use them quite a bit, but I have my Makeup Forever highlighter that is like my all-time favorite. Plus I want to start collecting more newer highlighters to like use on my channel, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that. Alamar Cosmetics, this is Gabby T. MUA's little palette that she created. I think I'm going to keep this around just because I like her and I really like the colors in it. Pure Soiree Diaries, I really did like this palette a lot, but I have so much stuff that's similar to it. I think I'm going to get rid of it. The ColourPop Element of Surprise palette, I also got this in a BoxyCharm, and I just didn't care for this palette because I'm not a purple ass bitch. I don't really care for the color purple. I don't like how it looks on me. A lot of people do. Whenever I do like purple things, you guys are like, what are you talking about? You look good in purple. And I'm like, I just don't like the color purple. I don't like color pink. I don't like color purple. So be Veronica. Okay, next up is this Winky Lux Kitten palette or whatever. Never used. It looks like this. I just never used it for no other reason than I just didn't. It just didn't really speak to me. Pure Cosmetics Buff Collection. Never used. Look, this has like the wrapping and everything in it. I never once used this. Wow. Huh, it looks exactly like the Naked 3 too. Should I keep this? I should keep it and try it at least. Let's do that. Revealed, Revealed 3, Revealed Smoky, Revealed, wait, do I have two Revealeds? What's this? Revealed, Revealed, oh, Revealed 2, my bad. So Revealed, Revealed 2, Revealed 3, and Revealed Smoky. These are all going. The Taylor spoke so highly of these Revealed palettes. This one is Revealed 3, Revealed Original, and then Revealed 2. She spoke so highly of these palettes, and I got them in BoxyCharms, and I wanted to like them. I wanted to like them so bad, and I just didn't. I just thought they were like really powdery, and I just didn't like them, girl. I just didn't. So I don't know why I still got those. Lorelei Los Angeles, this bright ass thing. Like, I'm not going to use this. I've got my Naked palette, which is, or my Electric palette, which is so much better. So sorry, Lorelei. Sorry, not really. Studio Makeup On The Go eyeshadow palette. This essentially just looks like that Makeup Forever palette that I had that was better quality than this. This I used just a couple of times, and I just don't use it. Blush and Bronzer Mini Palette by Coastal Scents. This I also don't use because I thought the bronzers were just like real off-toned. It's like they were too warm to use as a contour, but they weren't warm enough to use as a bronzer, I felt like. I didn't care for them. And the blushes were way too bright. The Crown Pro Palette, I'm actually going to keep this because I like the colors in that. I think I'll keep that and try to use that again. Nightingale, Pretty Vulgar Nightingale palette. This was a cool tone palette that I hated. I hate cool tones. All the tones in this palette are like the polar opposite of what I like. So I tried to use this once and it looked like I put dirt on my face. I couldn't even fuck with it. Hi, baby boy. What are you doing? BoxyCharm Pure Palette. looks like this here. So many YouTubers were talking such good things. Now my camera's like focusing on it. There we go. So many YouTubers were talking so many good things about this palette because they took them to fucking Rica or wherever the fuck they went to. But that palette sucked. It was not that good. I mean, it was a palette and it like make-upped, but not very well, girl. This is another Studio Makeup on the Go palette, which looks like this, which I never freaking use, so we were getting rid of. I believe that's it for the BoxyCharm palettes. Next up are palettes that I actually did receive in PR, and it was from a website called Hush Cosmetics. This palette was supposed to be like the Moonchild palette, and y'all know how I feel about colored highlighters. I just don't care for them, so that one's going. This one I'm keeping. Excuse me, sir. Could you be quiet? This one I'm keeping because it's like supposed to be a dupe, and the shadows in it are really good. It's supposed to be a dupe for the Venus palette, so we go keep her. This Royals Bad Habit palette is supposed to be a dupe for Modern Renaissance palette, and it's a really, really good palette. If you want these palettes, you can find them on hushcosmetics.com. I'm not going to keep this because I have my Mod Red. I'm so sorry I'm like rushing through this, but I got to pick bro up. I'm losing my voice and I'm running out of time. I just said that. Okay. Anyways, Bare Minerals palette. 2 Bare Minerals palettes. This one here I'm not keeping. I bought this at work just because it was hella cheap, so we're not keeping her. This, but look, I haven't even taken the plastic off this. This is the Bare Minerals Essentials palette. I got this for gratis at work. I really like the mirror on this palette, but the palette itself, again, purple. Purple just doesn't really speak to me unless it's like mauve purple, but this like cool tone-esque purple, I don't really care for, so she's getting passed along. Next up is Kat Von D. Mi Vida Loca I am keeping because because it's a bright palette, and other than my Urban Decay Electric palette, I don't have any other bright ones, so she's staying. This Ladybird palette was one of the very first, what's her name? Kat Von Vaxation palettes that I had ever purchased, but I don't think I'm going to keep it because I don't really care for Kat Von Disease eyeshadows anymore. So there's that. Shade and Light palette. Girl, I touched this thing like twice and I just don't care for it. I don't know why it got so much hype because I don't find it to be that great. So she's going too, girl. Excuse me, boy. He just wants to be in the middle of everything. It Cosmetics, I have the Naturally Pretty palette, which I used the actual fuck out of. I loved this palette. This whole Transformer shade is just a totally bunk, but the rest of the palette was so nice, as you can see. I just don't use it anymore. I really like their eyeshadows. They're so creamy and blendable. I wish that they would come out with a little bit more innovative shadows because It Cosmetics eyeshadows are actually really good. They just need a palette that's like, I don't know, not as bland as what their palettes are now, you know what I mean? And then the My Sculpted Face palette, which I also use the actual fuck out of. This palette is an amazing palette if you are super fair and you have a hard time finding contour palette. Girl, I used this so hard when I was super fair and would like contour the fuck out of my face, because you can like, these blend so well that they almost blend away into nothing. They don't, but it's like they blend so well that you can just blend them right into your skin, even being a fair skinned person. This is one of the best fair skin contour palettes I've ever used. This, should I keep this? I think I'm gonna keep that. All right, next up is all drugstore stuff. I gotta blow through this, y'all. Okay, all we have left is Stila and Smashbox, and then I'll do the drugstore, and then we'll be done. Oh, and Dose of Colors. This is the Dose of Colors I Love Sadai collection. I think I'm gonna keep this because I just got this recently. Then Stila, we have the, what is this? Highlighting palette, Starlight Star Bright, with the little kind of like ColourPop highlighters. I really love these, so I'm gonna keep this. This is, remember these old school Stila palettes? Who remembers these? These were like so whipped back in the day, right? This one is, what is it called? The In the Know palette. I loved this palette. Use the actual fuck out of it. Such good eyeshadows, so good. But I just don't use it anymore, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on. And then my Soul palette and my Mind palette I am keeping because I love the eyeshadows in these. I love the shades. They're such good palettes. If you guys have never used these Stila palettes, they're still like a thing. They're so good, you guys. For just like really nice, neutral, basic palettes, they're so good. They're such good everyday palettes. I'm keeping those. Smashbox, I've got the Full Exposure palette, which I used the fuck out of when it came out because it was so good. The shimmer shades in these, I wish they would come out with more because there's like glitter in them and they just look so pretty on your eyes, but it's just too neutral for me now, so I just don't really use it. So she going. And then the Smashbox Cover Shot Golden Hour palette, I got this for gratis and used it maybe twice, so she gonna go. All that's left is drugstore and then we are done. So I have the Soph X Revolution highlighter palette by Makeup Revolution. These are such good highlighters. I don't know if this is still a thing anymore, if it's still available, but if it is, girl, this is a really good highlighting palette. I love the formula. I think I'm gonna keep that. And then my NYX Avant Pop palettes. I don't really use either of these, so we are getting rid of those. My NYX Earth palette, when it first came out, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I love it. I love the colors because it kind of looked like Subculture. Actually, I'm going to keep this. Maybe that'll make me use it more. Let's keep it. I have both of the L'Oreal Nude palettes, which I bought for videos to do like drugstore tutorials with and never used. So we're doing away with those. Carly Bybel palette. I'm not going to get rid of this because a subscriber got this for me. Thank you, my love. I love you so much. Years ago and sent it to me. It was so freaking nice of her. So I will not get rid of this because that was given to me by a subscriber. Wet n Wild. What is this? Rose in the Air palette. It's supposed to be like a dupe for Modern Renaissance palette. Since I have the Mod Ren, I'm probably going to do it with this. Actually, no, I'll keep this for like drugstore videos. Makeup Revolution Ultra Strobe Balm palette. These were weird. I didn't like them. They're like cream highlighters and they look chunky on your skin and they're colored, so we get rid of them. CoverGirl Roses True Naked palette. These palettes are good. I just feel like the mattes kind of blend into each other and then get muddy. Even though the shimmers are good and they're like good palettes, I think I'm just gonna move it along, girl. Catrice Ultimate Chrome palette. Why I bought an Ultimate Chrome palette, I have no clue. I think I got this when I was really fair and I thought I could use these as highlighter shades, but I just don't use it. And then finally, the Maybelline The Nudes New York sucked balls. So she's going, girl. She's going. We are done. We are done. I have got to go. I got to pick my bro up from school. That lasted way longer than I thought it would. I don't know why. Because y'all know a bitch likes to talk. Let me turn on exposure down. I don't know why I thought it would go so much quicker than that. That was like too many palettes for one person. But anyways, so is there anything that I decluttered that you guys really like? Or what do you think of the stuff I kept and the stuff I'm passing along? Let me know your thoughts. Do you like declutter? Should I keep on going? Should we do lips? Should we do blushes? Should we do bronzers? What should we do next, girl? Let me know in the comments below. And I gotta get going. We can't fuck around with no outro today, Veronica, because I gotta go pick my bro up from school. So I just gotta end it. We're just gonna outro it right here. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and do all the things you're supposed to do for the YouTube person. And I will catch you guys in my next one. Peace.